Ladies and gentlemen, the end game in Dune Awakening has been kind of revealed. We're going to look at the Landsrad, and we're going to look at the Deep Desert. Right now, it's rated M for mature, apparently, in this live stream that we're about to do. Let's see what the devs have for us in the Landsrad. First look at the Landsrad and Deep Desert in Dune Awakening. Let's see. Make sure my volume's good.
Power. Given the right lever, you can move a planet.
This audio is really low. I'll turn it up best I can.
In Dune Awakening, your path to power leads you through the great houses. But only accomplished guilds may earn their place among the Atreides or Harkonnen. Swear your allegiance and contribute to their rise in desert power. The pledge is only the beginning. You have come far, and now it's time to take control of the Landsrad. The Landsrad is the council of great houses that make decisions that impact all the players on all the servers in your world.
Okay.
Your goal, and that of your guild, is to secure their votes so that your faction, the Harkonnen or Atreides, can take control.
Two sides, very much faction warfare. Claim something. I don't know whether you have to like spend points, but you get more points the more you claim. Okay.
To secure their votes and sway them to your side, you must complete specific house requirements on the Landsrad board. Alone.
So in order to claim House Thorvald, deliver the Landsrad Quartermaster at your faction fortress. Additional progress can be gained by holding the control points for House Thorvald in Deep Desert. 70,000 per kill sandflies per minute while holding control points earned. So if you hold certain points in the Deep Desert and or give them things, thanks for using my code, you will be able to get not just loot in the interim. This is great. You can get, looks like, really good fluted heavy caliber compressor. These are named items. These are epics. House Thorvald steel suit armor swatch. This is like, it looks better. You can get literal cosmetics from this. Sounds awesome. You can do stuff for each house in the Deep Desert and hold areas for the things in the Deep Desert. And it looks like you can do other quests as well. This will help you to acquire them out of 70,000. And the first one to do that, I guess, gets those votes. Yowzer. This is like the major orders and Helldivers. Really cool. Really cool.
Altogether.
Thanks for the hype train, y'all. Thanks for that.
With your guild, your efforts can move the needle. Be the first to fulfill a house requirement to not only secure their vote, but also reap their many rewards. Whether you enjoy...
It's important to note that even if you don't actually finish it, you still get some rewards. That's pretty sick. It's not just, oh, I got so far and got nothing. You get a bunch of cosmetics, you can still show you were there. So.
PvE or PvP, there are many paths to victory. If you prefer the relative safety of the shield wall, there are many activities that will not put you into direct conflict with other players, while still contributing to your faction's rise to power.
That's such a big deal, because if you don't want to go into the Deep Desert, if you don't want to engage in PvP, maybe you just don't want to do it. But you can still contribute to Atreides or Harkonnen factions by doing PvE-focused activities like gathering. That's a big deal, right, Caspariel? Big deal. Now, I can tell you the way this game is going to go right now without even knowing that the most contribution, the biggest, fastest one is going to be in the Deep Desert. It's the hardest to do. But knowing that you can grind down the PvE zones is big. Large deal.
House Torvald wants you to eliminate sandflies. Rush in, or pick off the deserters one by one with your sniper rifle.
It's me.
House Rashis wants a delivery of ground cars. Join up with friends and build strongholds for large-scale production.
Right, so you saw it was like, give me 70,000 buggies. Right. Deliver 70,000 of them. So you're gonna need big bases that have like 20, because each buggy is like 7 parts that take time to craft. So if you spend all day grinding, so someone, your guilds, your people, whatever, they're gonna have to go out and gather stuff while you're crafting at home. You can let this sit once you get enough mats and you go get some water. This is really sick. It lets you choose your adventure. I love that.
Friends and build strongholds for large-scale production and deliver them safely to the House representative by ground or air.
And then you have to get them there. Oh, right. You have to actually haul them. Now, they're driving buggies, right? But you can have buggy parts in your inventory. I wonder if it's delivered, finished buggies. You have to get them there. You have to haul them. Oh, let's go. And just to be clear, if you don't want to deal with the Landsrad, you don't have to. But the Landsrad are the ones that get to make policy on your server for certain things. We don't know what that extent of that is yet. I'm sure they're going to tell us. So you can ignore this entirely, but then you're at the mercy of the bigger guilds that will dictate certain things. That's pretty sick. If you get 30 per vehicle, sure, okay. 70,000 points. Even so, that's still a big grind. That makes more sense to me. So, wow. Yeah, D-Ron, we're reacting to it now. This is sick. Sick.
Large-scale production is costly and will require a lot of resources. To be able to craft certain high-tier items, you will also need the most sought-after resource of all.
Yep.
Spice.
Right, 1,000 buggies.
You can buy spice from spice merchants or on the player-run exchange. And it can even be found in smaller pockets behind the shield wall.
Yep. We did that. We did that.
But to collect industrial quantities, you must venture
into the deep desert,
into the unknown.
All right, this is what I was telling you. You can get it behind whatever. No, Vanguard's going to be great. We're going to play all of these, dude. We're going to play all of this. We're going to have a good time. So, but in order to get the big amounts going to the deep desert. Now, if you have like 20 guilds in Haga Basin farming stuff up, you're probably going to be able to do this well. But 1 or 2 well-made oiled machines in the deep desert, man, let's see it. Let's see it.
The deep desert beckons. Here, violent Coriolis storms sweep across the vast expanse of sand, resetting the map every week.
Did you hear that? So there's sandstorms in the main area that do damage to you and will kill you if you don't get there. Every week, a Coriolis storm, a big massive storm, comes through and resets the map. It's a brand new procedural generated map every time. The terrain is different. The items respawn in different spots. So it's not just a like, oh, you figured out the deep desert. Here is the infinite farming. Like other MMOs, the end game area, the final farming spots are known. It's going to change every week. That makes me extremely confident for the longevity of this game. Yeah. Yeah.
Revealing new resources to mine.
Sick. Yeah, mine with the buggy.
And points of interests to explore.
Right, this time there's a downed desert. Or this time there's a downed ship in the desert. The next time a previously unknown Imperial testing station opens up, right? Yes, Grey Wolf, like the wormholes.
This ever-changing environment offers endless exploration, but also endless conflict.
Yep. PvP. Here we
Each
go.
house in the Landsrad desires a specific control point in the deep desert.
Oh, let's go.
Seize it and hold it over time to gain their vote. Fortify it and be ready for a fight. Other players will soon come to take it from you.
Can you build in this area? Sick.
The deep desert is also home to frequent spice blows,
Yep.
offering large quantities of the precious melange.
Hello.
You need a lot of spice. Once you've located a spice blow, move your...
These spice blows are map-wide visual and audio cues. The moment one of these hits, I watched people just go like this that were in the surrounding rocks. I didn't realize I was with people in the beta until a spice blow went off. And I see it and I'm like, what the hell is that purple plume? And all of a sudden people that were in the rocks, like a little bit close to me, just jump out and start sprinting for it, get on their sand bikes. And I'm like, oh my God, there was like 4 people around me. I had no idea. Everybody can see it. Everybody knows it's a point of interest and everybody's showing up to take it. And you got to fight for it.
Harvesters in place to collect. Just be ready to defend it with your life.
Sick. We've seen this before, but still. Little thumper. Because it always comes. Let's go. Straight from the movie. Let's go. Yeah.
After a week of politics,
Awesome.
manufacturing, and conflict, one side emerges victoriously.
Okay. See?
The Harkonnen have seized the Landsrad,
Whoa, look at this.
and the leaders of the player guilds who contributed to their victory all get to vote for a decree that will impact everyone on a server belonging to that world.
That is sick. Okay. So they fight, they earn, they win. When you do, you get to decree something that affects the whole server. Experience gain is increased by 50%, or melee weapon damage increased by 33%, or access to Landsrad weapons vendor. So this is really incredible. I have 0 drop frames, so this is really incredible because the people that are in the and look, it's a vote. You don't just like it's a place vote. So the ones that contribute get to pick it. So now you have to have communication with the other guilds, like actual politics. Oh my God, this is so cool, dude. Okay, because let's say like everybody goes, you know what? We really want access to the server, but let's say all of the big guilds are like, look, we just had a big influx of players. So let's get them up to fighting speed. Let's increase the XP. And this is just the ones we've been shown. What else? They could do a lot of stuff with this. This is really cool. Let's say one of the guilds, let's say one of the dungeons is really difficult to do at range. You basically can't do it at range, right? This is this middle one. Well, let's increase 1/3 more melee weapon damage. Now we can all freaking do it. So really cool.
That will impact
Really cool.
everyone on a server belonging to that world.
Wow.
They choose to unlock exclusive weapon imports rights. By decree of the Landsrad Council, under the seal of His Imperial Majesty.
You understand that if our guild is big enough, we can do that? Do you understand that if our guild's big enough, I'm going to be politicking for you? That I'm going to be going to meetings like,
Yes. Those of us from House Murphy desire more experience. The new bros must be fed. They must be increased to get up to fighting strength.
Chant. It looks like they're showing us a bunch of building. I'm going to watch this a little bit and we're going to fast forward to the deep desert. Let's see it.
We have like actually a team here that will now go into the deep desert.
Okay, so we've
desert.
gone through the overland map,
Yeah, we're in
and
the shield wall.
we're in the
now.
shield wall, which is the southern part of the deep desert.
It's the PvE area. so to
Correct,
speak.
yeah.
This
So-
is the PvE
It-
space.
It was important for us so that people that are scared of PvP or reluctant to get engaged with it, right, that they had a place in the deep desert that they could go to without, instantly getting killed as soon as
Have they thought of everything? Have they thought of everything? There's a PvE section of the deep desert. If you were on the fence about getting Dune Awakening, because you were worried you were just going to have to be forced to PvP, have no fear. See at launch.
you're coming
Use my affiliate code.
through, like in warping in, right, gate
Sick.
camping or whatever from other games.
He
And this
said
is also what
gate
you said,
camping.
right, gate camping or whatever from other games.
I think we have a Eve Enjoyer on the panel here, ladies and gentlemen. My man said gate camping.
And this is also where you set up your
Sick.
base of operations.
Yes.
The very first area, because the deep desert is gigantic. There's no water here,
Yes.
and you need to have the logistics set up. And
Yeah.
like you can go
There's no water? Like you can't gather it. It's what you bring in? Oh, now we're talking. Because it's a desert. Duh. You need to have the passive water generation.
there by yourself. Like I fly there on beta. I try to stay away from people because, as we said, we're not great at.
Okay. In Dune, you can templatify your base. So you can set up a hologram, Solido, whatever the heck, to be visual of your base, and anybody in your guild can start building the base if they have it in their resources. So when the server resets every week, you'll lose your base, but you have a template set up again. Okay? Right, you have to refine the blood of the enemies that you kill in the deep desert. Oh my God, it's gonna be so much baby.
PvP necessarily.
People call it ratting.
Yeah, ratting.
You can go in and rat.
Oh, I'm totally right.
We have, listen, ladies and gentlemen, 1 point of data is just a point, but 2 points of data form a line. We have gate camping and ratting being said. Eve enjoyers? Dude Awakening devs. You know they be... Yes, I see you are people of culture as well. I know that Natasha and Panel are using code Loru on the Marquee store to save on their EVE Online items. Let's get it done. Pirating. Killing pirates is ratting, ladies and gentlemen. Yowzer, dude. This is so wild.
So
Let's do it again.
I fly there on beta.
True.
I, try to stay away from people because, as we said, we're not great at PvP necessarily.
People call it ratting.
Yeah, ratting.
You can go in and rat.
Oh, I'm totally right.
Right.
Absolutely.
But just to point out one thing here, because these guys are using. So again, coming back to like how do we get towards this vision? We started with how do you build this is going to get wiped every week. How do we encourage people to build bases? Well, first of all, we created this blueprinting system. You bring the diagram of your base, you place it out, and you build it quickly, right? Mm-hmm. This is very fast. It doesn't take very long when you're with a few friends. You get a base put down, you build it up quickly. This is part of the logistics cycle of the deep desert.
And you can either bring the resources from Haga Basin and all the vehicles that you're bringing with you, or you can harvest there's quite a bit of resources in the shield wall, so you can set this up.
So this is what's happening here. We're building a forwarding base.
Do you understand though? This is a race. Because it resets every single week. Every single guild that wants the Landsrad's power is going to try to come here and is going to really, they're going to get a system down. They're going to be like, all right, Horus, you bring the mats to build a base. Rap Shindu, you bring the Solito thing and start setting up the base wall. Lord Muad'Dib, you make sure to bring our couple vehicles to be able to get this done. They're going to have like a who's bringing what. Okay? And this becomes the game whirling is what can do. That's right. Yeah, amen, brother. Yes, sir. Yeah. What we're going to have is what is the minimum to set up a base? You're going to have to set up a repeatable thing. So this base is very large. Maybe we don't need this size of a base. I'll bring the water. Come on down. Here's Johnny. We're going to have a great time. It forces, dare I say, the friendship.
Exactly. I was going to say that this is obviously a forwarding base because it is kind of very boxy again compared to like the actual home bases that we saw earlier.
This is boxy.
Because this is all about efficiency, right?
Yes.
And like fitting your the storages and the all the machines that you need,
Yeah. This just is the forward base mats. Actually, big bases are literally going to be a status symbol inside of a deep desert. Okay, but think about it like this too, because there's straight up a reason to have a bigger base. Because the bigger the base, the more fabricators you can make, the more stuff you can get. It's literally an arms race every week. My God, I haven't seen a game that forces this much strategy since EVE Online. No wonder I was drawn to this.
Now my brain just stopped working.
Fabricators,
thank you.
Yeah,
got it,
and
Sasha,
we made a
killing
change, or not a change. It's just the building costs are different in the deep desert, so it costs half as much to build everywhere.
Have they thought of everything? It's half as much to build a base. They want you to have fun. It costs, they understand a weekly wipe is tedious, so it costs half as much. I need some 07s in chat. We watched the mid-game video. We saw nothing, but they understand the quality of life, and there's a balance between gameplay and chores, and it's more gameplay and more fun. Now we're in the end game video, and they've got even more coming in. They understand. They play their own dang game, and we're gonna have a good time on Arrakis, baby. Look at this. Funcom devs, do you see this? I hope you do. I know you do. Listen al Gaib, as written. No, it's we're in Dune Awakening now. It's Ibn Girdaiba.
Incredible stuff. 100% when you're breaking things down. Just because we know you're going to be redoing this every week, there's going to be some loss, right?
Of course.
So we're trying to make it easy and accessible in the ways that we can.
Oh my God, that final day.
All right, guys, the deep desert's resetting the Coriolis in 4 hours. There's a box full of crafting lasers. Everybody get to deconstructing. Take down all the walls and put them into a chest.
Right? There's going to be a teardown, or you lose the mats. Wow. Yo, we're going to have a great time.
Can while still keeping the threat there.
Yes.
And the intensity, right?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's it, right? Like the deep desert is a little bit about that tension as well, that feel.
Yeah, imagine you're like building this up. You can't just have everybody build. You're in a PvP zone. I mean, you're in a PvE version of a PvP zone. You're going to have builders and scouts.
Hey, I'm on the southwest. FC, come in. I'm on the southwest side of the shield wall, and how close are you to finishing?
Yeah, we have like 2/3 of the base filled. What's up?
Yeah, we have at least two guilds coming in that are super close to the capture point. We got to finish that base right now ASAP so we can get some ornithopters in the air because they're almost done with their base. And look, I see some fabricators, so they're going to be making some building.
Do you understand? You're going to have forward operating base and then have scouts that go scout out stuff and combat people. You need bodies, ladies and gentlemen. Deploy the Sardaukars.
Of like, so we're building here. It's the PvE area. I expect people to build their primary like weekly base in the PvE area, and then maybe set out some logistics bases so that they can do things like refining spice. And that's where it becomes an interesting kind of like we'll see how people play out these scenarios in the actual deep desert in the game. But this is kind of
like straight up. You could get sniper positions on where you think the enemies are going to go based on where they are in the PvE area of the deep desert. Set up in the PvP area and make them go through you first. And then when you kill them, you take their stuff. And you're going to have Sardaukar guilds to do mercenary work for other guilds to slow them down. This game could be something that you play for years. Do you understand? Wow. There is base raiding, Ghost, yes. There's a PvE area and a PvP area to it too. Yes.
The expected behavior. This is what we hope people will do. And we've tried to build all the mechanics into place so that people can do this, right? And that's been a large part of it.
This
you
is
also
sick.
see co-building here. There's actually several people working on
Yeah,
this.
everyone's working together, right?
Yeah,
And that's
super nice.
that's
really
the
cool.
guild focus as well. Like you know,
Exactly.
it is a multiplayer game.
Nice house.
It's really important to make sure that people can play together and do things together.
Go back. My guy fell through. He wasn't done building. My man fell through. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this.
Yeah,
and
this is super nice.
That's the
funny.
guild focus as well. Like you know, it is a multiplayer game. It's really important to make sure that people can.
He lost it. He just because I've done that too. When you're like building something, you don't realize that the floor isn't there, and you just walk through.
Like you know, it is
It's
a
so funny.
multiplayer
Look.
game. It's really important to make sure that people can play together.
Right, a
and
Looney
do
Tunes
things
death.
together.
That's it.
And I think the fun part in this game and this style of game is that it extends beyond like the traditional MMO experience of like we can fight things together, right? And we
Again.
can role play together. But you know, you're not building things together. You're not crafting vehicles together, right? We have those options, which is nice.
Exactly.
And it's just cool to see how quick you can use the blueprint system to get like a gigantic base, right?
Yeah.
Even though it's utilitarian, right? But
I totally agree. When I first saw this, I thought this was kind of crappy. But when you see it in action, you get like 3 or 4 people. They'll be able to set up a 3 multi-level base with garages, landing pads, and fabricators in like maybe 10 minutes. This is
yeah, it does what it needs, and it's
Yowzer.
it's quite impressive.
Yep.
I know that people were also wondering that you won't be able to, copy that your setup inside. So this is literally the blueprint is for the building itself. So everything inside.
Correct. Yeah.
correct.
You still have to put the placeables in.
So
That's a good point. It just to be very clear, you don't copy the building with all the mats. There's an item that lets you copy the layout of the building. It copies the holographic Solido green lines. You still have to fill it in every week, but since in the deep desert building costs are halved, they've really thought of everything, y'all.
The
Sheesh.
building itself. So everything inside.
Correct. Yeah.
Yep.
yeah.
Okay.
You still have to put the placeables in.
so we're behind the shield wall. I think we've just left the base now,
Yeah, we're actually
and we're
just showing a little bit of the
Yeah.
PvE area here.
So this
as well.
is behind the shield wall, and then you come out into the deep desert, and this is like I think oh yeah, sorry, behind the shield wall.
This is just the PvE zone. All of these climables and looting spots, all of this is just the PvE zone. We haven't even gone into the PvP area yet. Y'all, we're gonna have so much fun, dude.
There's also PvE elements here. This is the PvE space.
Yes.
So there are
Interesting.
things like shipwrecks that you can raid. There are like eco labs behind here. So there is a section of the deep desert. I know people are really worried about doing PvP. There's a whole section here. It's 24 kilometers long, where you can actually go and like do the PvE part. And we're about to see. Well, this will take a few seconds.
We're actually
survey.
We're in the middle
just
of the survey.
surveying.
So there's literally dungeons, downed ships in the intro part to the deep desert. So if you don't run a PvP and you're like, look, my guild does, I don't care. Let me farm. Let me just go get you mats. You can do that. They let you play your way. This is really awesome. You know, before I was like 100% in with what I played and I had a great time. Can I tell you a quick story? In the beta, I had made my house. And it was nighttime and I went back and I was organizing all of my stuff and the music just kind of hit and I walked out onto my patio and I was looking out as like the sun was going down and some player was like running through the desert as the worm was chasing him. And I had this moment where I was like, wow, I think I love this game. There was like a soul tie. It was like made like a heartstring was like boom, you know, and I'm like, wow, I think this is awesome. And as I'm playing the game, I was like, man, this is just the beta. I've only played for 20 hours. I haven't had one of those in a long time. Yeah, right. Literally Twin Suns, like a New Hope moment where you look out and you just kind of like, that happened a lot in Dune Awakening. I haven't had one of those moments really since the last time I had one of those, I was playing EVE Online. First time I ever went into a shattered wormhole, okay? And I saw the planet as you warp to a planet and it's in pieces. And you're like, what could have done this? And I turn and there's a massive angular drifter battleship going past the like silhouette of the planet. And I had this moment where I was like, I need to leave. First of all, it's going to end my life. And second, what else in this game haven't I experienced? Those kind of moments where it's an adventure. Who wants to have that kind of adventure with us, huh?
So now we're surveying the land in this section, and we'll see the segment reveal itself.
Yep.
And this is like one of the PvE segments of the Deep Desert. And what you'll see here is that we've surveyed 1 square. And just to give some context, that's one of 81 squares within this map. So there are 80.
The Deep Desert is 81 squares long, and it resets every week. It's huge. It's literally another game. It's another game. I don't know that, Casperial. So much area. Huge. And it resets every week. And look, there's like Fremen tunnels and down ships and dungeons. And there's 1,000 players in the Deep Desert, 500 to 900. Okay. Because Haga Basin is like its own thing, but then the Deep Desert is its own thing. It's huge. Awe-inspiring.
81 of these squares. It's huge.
Yeah.
There
You're
are
actually also seeing the sync chart that I mentioned earlier.
Yes.
What's a sync chart? Yeah, I know what that is.
Into play.
So now I don't know whose name it is, but whichever player it is crafting a. They have surveyed.
Camille
Now
is
they're going to
crafting a
craft
survey,
a
yeah.
sync chart.
The sync
They have
chart.
crafted a sync chart of the Deep Desert. It tells you in the information which sector of the Deep Desert, who created it, how long ago it was created, so you understand whether the information's out of date or in date. They're going to share that sync chart with their friends.
Yep.
And then their friends hopefully will.
Do you want to explore in Dune Awakening? Do you want to go off be a literal map drawer scout? Where you have to fill up your ship and get the right water and materials, and you have to be able to defend yourself, and you go out and you literally survey the land and come back. You're literally a scout. And share it with your guild. Literally an information gatherer. Sick. I don't know if it's like EVE on steroids. I wouldn't put it that way. Just what it does is very good. Even these games are very different, but this is still very exciting. That's really cool. Your job, I'm the scout. I've built speed and survivability up. Wow, dude.
Will be able to switch camera perspective and see their friend apply the sync chart.
The Deep Desert resets every week and is huge. So you're going to need to keep doing this to explore it, and all the rarest, best, biggest resources are in this area. Look at that.
That
Which
is the
saves
plan.
them having to
Yes.
explore.
Yeah,
So this is that
exactly.
cartography look.
You could go out with like a
Oh.
really quick ornithopter.
Look at this. That's the Deep Desert over there.
Oh, sure.
Go back.
But you can go out with
Right. What do you do? Hey, what do you do in Dune Awakening?
Yeah, I'm a trooper. You know, I make sure that my Deep Desert guild is defended. I make sure that they're good to go. You know, make sure that it's done.
What about you? What about you do?
Yeah, I'm a cartographer. I go explore. I spec'd out my ornithopter specifically for speed and less fuel, and I'm an expert at flying the ornithopter and getting it done.
What about you?
Yeah, I'm a forward sniper. I'm Black Ops. I make sure that the enemy in the deep desert, I have sniper specializations and scout specializations.
Do you understand how deep this is? We're just scratching the surface here. This is awesome.
With like an exploration kit, right? That's really fast. That you can go around. You don't have much harvesting abilities, right? And then you scout the area, bring it back, and then your base can roll out with your transport ornithopters, your harvesters,
Exactly.
sand crawlers.
Sick.
Depending what your
I'm
plan
the
is.
water boy. Let's go, dude. What about you? What's your job?
I get the water!
That's not a joke, though. That's very real. Oh my gosh, dude. Johnny, we just might.
For today,
What
which
people-
doesn't
what
necessarily
people
have to be PvP. There's actually a lot of other things,
Yeah,
that
exactly.
might bring you to
I
the
expect
deep
people
desert.
in guilds to be
See?
figuring things out and how they're going to work together. To
Got your landing pad?
But there's roles here, right? Like again, we tried to really build this game with different roles for different people within guilds.
Exactly.
So the idea is, maybe I'm just the scout, and that's what I do because I hate, going into fights. But
Love that.
I go out, I bring back the information. Then people who like building bases are planning like what our logistics are going to be and
This
what
looks
we're going
awesome.
to be doing this week in the deep desert. What do we need to harvest? What do we need for our crafting? Are they
I don't know if I have a guild on every server. We're gonna have to see. At the start, I can tell you this. What I do plan on doing is I plan on getting multiple copies of the game for me. I'm literally gonna make 2 or 3 Steam accounts so that I can have I'm the CEO of like 2 or 3 guilds, right? Then our community will be able to have full control over areas with 2 or 3 guilds. That's my plan, where I'm going to play on one and then I have an alt that's CEO of like another guild, right? Because I need alliances. I need to be able to have more than 32 players. We're going to do that. They've announced that dedicated servers are coming much later. At launch, it's going to be kind of finicky where we do something like that. I have some ideas on how we can make that a little bit better. Okay, so.
the uniques that we're looking for? Are the specific uniques?
Yes.
I think one of the really important points about the
The
deep
name of the guilds are not revealed yet.
desert is that like the unique schematics, the imperial permits, which maybe people saw, the purple ones, they're on a
Trade. Player trading.
a limited loot setup, so you don't get the same ones every week, and the layouts of the deep desert change. Here we see the trading system. The sync chart's been traded.
Yep.
And those schematics you can only make a certain amount of times.
Yep. And
Right.
now we're going to consume the sync chart, and then we're going to open our map and see that the sector has been cleared, the same sector. That was
And this is it. This is interesting. I want those sync charts to not be one use, because if you're telling me our scouts have to get, there's a difference between TDM and chores, right? So if my scout has to survey an area 30 times, right, to be able to get my full guild going, I hope that's like a guild-wide thing somehow. We'll have to see about that. Sync charts are mapped, crafted by planetologists within the cartography skill. They reveal portions of the deep desert and can be traded or sold to other sleepers. You can sell it. Oh my gosh, you can sell them. You're going to have a mercenary scout guilds that they just push the information forward, and then, hey, you want the full map of the deep desert? We got it hour 1. We'll sell it to you for a premium. Can I just... You can carry 30, make 30 time. Okay, gotcha. So,
sync charted. So this
Wow.
is kind of cool. You can create copies of this and
Yeah,
pass it
D-Ron,
off to your
we'll
guild.
definitely
You can
talk.
create
We'll definitely
copies
talk.
and sell them on the exchange to other players as well.
that's bananas.
Yes, and
That's bananas.
while now they're actually
the
building a
transport
transport ornithopter, we can actually quickly talk about the storm in
It's the big one, the carrier ornithopter.
combination with the map, because we actually have a visual asset here
Yeah.
that shows
We got cartography in the brand new game before Star Citizen. Yeah, you did. I tell you.
how they can look like on
Yeah,
the
so
map.
we can talk about the rotation. So this is
Yes.
like, so let's see that we're going to see 3 weeks of Coriolis Storm changes to the map. So this is week 1, and then we move to, and you can see that there's like 1 eco lab, a shipwreck, and a cave there, right, and a small base, and some spice explorers that have been marked. And
Yeah.
then to the next week, the layout has changed. Where
Same
things
tile.
are is different. There's a
Look at the difference. Okay, let's talk about some strategy here. Here is a Fremen spot. This is one of the only stone areas that is close to these spice blows, right? So what you're going to have is everybody's going to be fighting over this for a forward base. Everybody's going to be fighting over this for a forward base because it's close to both the spice blows, and the spice is the most important thing. Okay, the next week there's a bunch of these little ones. So this one's going to be important, but also this one. And this one is like the biggest one. You're going to have big guild over there crafting stuff versus like smaller area. I don't know what this symbol is. So, and you have a split. This one, you can get to both, but you have to deal with these. So week to week, the strategy, you're going to have different size. You're going to have different size bases that you have on file for like small, medium, large builds. You're going to have forward base close to spice, forward base close to dungeon, a big base close to down ship. You're going to have bases that specialize in ship production, bases that specialize in water production. You're going to have bases that specialize in all of it. This is every week. There's so much depth to this game. It really is one of the biggest deep games I've seen. I literally forgive the melee combat being not great. They'll fix the melee combat. I have that, I know they will. This is kind of sick. So, and look, Captain, they've said this. You don't have to join a clan. You can play solo. You just won't have as much say on the server because this is just the PvP area. There's literally entire sections of the game that are only PvE. And you can just do your stuff chilling and be a solo player. Completely solo possible. No worries about getting your base destroyed and all that. Now, you won't be able to make stuff as fast and have the coolest gear because the best, biggest stuff are going to go to the biggest, best guilds that are controlling the Landsrad. That's what we're looking at. You can still play it as a solo player, sure. This is cool. I like this a lot.
There's a control point now in the bottom left. There's an eco lab in a different place, and a shipwreck that's been uncovered.
And there will be different loot and different
No ganking and high sec.
And then we go one more week again. And now you can see that this is a bit larger. There's another control point. It's a different house control point now. Different spaces on the map. A couple of eco labs this time. 4 or 5 caves and the shipwreck.
These eco labs drop epic blueprints at the end. You can assume that the eco labs in the deep desert are going to drop a lot of really big stuff. The shipwrecks are a source of rare materials that if you control, they're a source of a lot of crafting of weapons and armor. So if you control one of these, the green pin, you're going to be able to craft a lot of stuff in the deep desert without having to send people back to the Haga Basin. That time will be saved. These are for other recipes. I'm not sure how these are going to work in the deep desert because these were pretty small, like little caves, right? You can get protected from the sandstorm. Like imagine you're out here and the sandstorm hits. Where are you gonna go? Well, if you don't control this, you're kind of screwed. Y'all.
So you can sort of see how this changes and how this loot encourages exploration for people each week.
And that's one time.
Incredible. You can be a solo guild as well to even participate in the Landsrad. You definitely can. We're gonna have a guild with all of our friends. We're gonna play together. We're going to have a guild so we can all join together. It's going to be awesome. So they said in the tutorial story, vehicle parts are not native, so you have to farm them from wrecks. Yo?
One section.
One of
81st.
One of 81.
Yeah.
But I will say this: it's a very big desert with a lot of space. So there's not all the tiles are that populated each week. So people aren't like, oh, there's not 15 eco labs in every square, right?
No.
Like it's a
more
big
sparse.
barren place. And this is also like important because if we want people to fight over things, we actually need to draw them to the same places to fight over specific things in PvP.
So for the ones who actually do want the PvP, they have a place to go where they know there's probably other people there as well.
Okay, so now we have a transport ornithopter. This is the largest flying vehicle that you can craft in the game.
I see 5 seats.
And this may be my favorite game mechanic because the transport ornithopter can pick things up. And I love it because it can pick up almost anything that is a vehicle.
Yes.
Right, in the game. So
one of the things you'll see in the mid game is like the buggy is really hard to get to places, right? Even though it mines so much more than you can ever possibly mine yourself, but it's a pain, right, to get up on the shield wall or to get it out here.
So good.
Go back. You've got a daggum grapple. Look at this. Look at this thing. It picks it up.
But it's a pain.
This goes back to what we were talking about in the mid game video that we just reacted to, where the Dune is really good about like you have you're new to the area. You now have to go to the next area. And the more you go up that step, the bigger your tech is. And then you jump to another area and you're like, I can't do this yet, but man, I can do this really well. And you keep having this very staircase feeling power spike. I love this. Right, yeah, barrel roll in this. Do it.
On the shield wall or
do it.
To get it out here.
Do it.
So a good tactic with the buggy though is to use it as storage and use the transport ornithopter to pick it up and carry it.
Yes.
Good. Are we going to show an example of carrying? I guess we are.
Yes, we are. Because what we're actually preparing for here is a spice harvesting mission.
So the team's going out to do some spice harvesting.
So we are actually gonna pick up a harvester.
So now we're coming out into what I call the real deep desert, right? This is actually what you think of when you think of Arrakis from the movies, right? So
Here we go.
We just got the nice tutorial pop up talking about the deep desert.
Yes.
So this is the Arrakis that we know from the films. So Hagar Basin is
what were we just talking about that like 2 moon moment? You come over the hill into the shield wall and there's just desert. Right?
And it's taking a lot of the information that we have from the books and about like the different biomes and things and making it into a truly sort of interesting PvE experience. But this is the true deep.
There is no better feeling than being in an MMO with your friends and being in a bunch of ships rolling out. You know? Just like bum dum bum dum bum dum bum, and everyone's just like we're all on a mission together and we're in like a formation and we're just in Eve, we're fleeting up in a bubble, we're going into low sec. Look at this. Look at no better feeling.
Desert of Arrakis. This is the place where people are scared to go.
Autobots.
This is where the Fremen live. We're passing outside the shield wall now. This is
Awesome.
where the War of Assassins and the PvP is
Sandblow.
allowed to happen.
Spice blow.
And you can see a spice blow in the distance, which draws people from miles around to go there, right? And
We talked about this in our mid-game video. A spice blow is a random map-wide event that has both visual and audio cues. That if you're here, if you're like climbing up something and you see a spice blow, it's like
FCFC Spice Blow southwest of here. Do we have people that are in ornithopters right now?
Yeah, we have a bunch. We see the visual. We're going to go send people out there right now. We got to get there fast.
this is some of the rarest mats out there. Are these spice blows? They're in concentrated areas of melange, and you need the spice to craft all the big stuff, right? So you literally make a spot. If you get there late, you'll get scraps. But if you get there first, like these guys were already rolling out, they're ready to go.
I do want to say this section here, if you turn the camera right and left, you can see that we have the shield wall. This is 24 kilometers long, and you can't see people all the way along. So people who are like nervous about going into the deep desert because they're worried about, the PvP is, I think there's like an element from my end, a designed moment that we've talked about on this project quite often is like, you come to the edge of this vast ocean and you dip your toe in the water and you're a little bit scared of sharks, but you see something in the distance and you think, I can make it. I can get there and I can get back. And the first time it's scary. And you feel that tension. And the second time. And the
look at
third
this.
time. But you feel that tension, but you actually start doing it, right?
That's really sick because when you look at let me rewind a bit. This is very important that you can't cover the whole thing by yourself. Even if your entire guild is like covering the wall, you're not going to be able to do it. Someone's going to sneak through. Someone's going to get a sand bike and go a little fast to kind of be in there. They're literally going to have seeding like we do in Eve, or someone's going to like log out in like a tunnel somewhere. You're not going to be able to cover it all, which means you have to get ready to fight and defend your control points.
That tension, and the second time, and the third time, but you feel that tension, but you actually start doing it, right? And I get that people worry about toxic behaviors and ganking and so forth, but we tried to build a space where you can get away from people as well.
Correct, yeah.
Sure.
I think that's really important to talk about is in Dune, you were given the tools to get away, right? Like if overwhelming amounts of people come after you, maybe you can't quite get away.
See, look, and they're talking about ganking. Just like, give me a sec. So they're in a control point that is the haggle control point. So you can claim, if you missed the beginning of this video, you can claim these points by you claim these points in the deep desert to work forward this kind of Landsrad guild system. The more of these you claim for either Atreides or Harkonnen, the more votes you get. That's this number here, and then you can decide things for the server in the coming weeks.
But that's generally not going to happen. So a lot of it is more about, PvP is about controlling a point and like having to give up that point if you don't feel like fighting
over things instead of kicking down sandcastles.
Exactly.
Correct. So we're
Probably one of my favorite things about this is that if we rewind a little bit, let me pause it again.
Point if you don't feel like fighting.
Is this, if you don't just get stuff at the end, if you get if you do 700 points, you're going to get 10,000 Solari. That's a lot. If you and your people get 3,500, you're going to get a focused buggy Cutter Mark 5. This is a better than normal item that you would not be able to get otherwise. So instead of just like doing a bunch of work and having no return until the very end, you get stuff as you go. That's, again, great game design. Great game design. So
fighting over things instead of kicking down sandcastles.
Exactly.
Correct. So we're on the Landsrad here. This is kind of interesting, right? So you can see the Landsrad's in the state of of like if we claim this as the Atreides, we're going to win what we call a Sisselrad.
Milestones.
And a Sisselrad means that we're going to get the voting power for the week. So a Sisselrad is when we can complete a row. So normally, if you were Harkonnen and Atreides in this situation, you'd both be fighting over this particular control point because you really don't want the other one to win for the week. But normally, like it's kind of, you're always blocking each other and causing like the other team.
So the order of these actually matter too. He mentioned if you win a row, you get something. So you're literally playing checkers. So you actually have to PvP in UI. So you can't just go after the sword. Oh yeah, we're just going to go after sword. No, if I'm Harkonnen, Connect 5, literally Connect 5. If I'm like, I'm House Harkonnen, oh my God, there's a haggle point spawned. We have to go after the haggle point. Even this isn't random. Even this is well thought out. Even this encourages PvP. Funcom. Y'all didn't cook. Y'all got some Michelin stars up in this. Okay.
Have to go back and focus on filling out a row or trying to fill out as many squares as possible. So we're trying to take the...
Diagonal works too? Yo.
House Haggle owns this control point in the Deep Desert. We're in the Deep Desert as Atreides taking over this control point on their behalf. And you can see it's just this...
My girl had like 7 thumpers.
He's taking over this control point on their behalf.
She had like... I guess we'll see him.
And you can see it's just this control point. It's a place that you have to defend in the Deep Desert. It'll draw other people and it will earn you points over time.
Stopping
it's a classic control point.
Yeah, what happens if you have sunstroke in here?
One other thing, just if you stop for a second here, one other thing I just wanted to point out, one of the feedbacks we had in beta was about team markers. You can see our new team marker system in the game here. It's deliberately only for the 4-person groups. I will not allow this to be in the game for guilds because I want, like, especially I know people talk about Zergs. I think when Zerg guilds and there's 40 people attacking each other on the screen, if everybody can see who's in their guild, it's very easy to target the people that you're trying.
I accept. In the beta, it was indistinguishable who the heck is on your side. Couldn't know who it was. Literally had no idea. Your group has numbers over their head. That's your people. You can't see who's in your guild still, unless they're in your group, because then you're going to have, they're thinking about the end game here. You're going to have a massive 32-person guild, zerging something, spamming something. You literally have to communicate over this. This is good. I accept. It's a little janky that I can't see who's in my guild, but I accept. Maybe we want to all do something creative like, hey, everybody wear orange and blue. So I can kind of, as a sniper, I can see who's got orange and blue on. Maybe that's what we got to do. That's pretty cool. Shaggy, what's up? We're doing Dune Awakening reactions. Let's see.
Bugs. I think when Zerg guilds and there's 40 people attacking each other on the screen, if everybody can see who's in their guild, it's very easy to target the people that you're trying to Zerg.
I think that is really a protection for the lower group players. The people that are in if I'm with my buddy and I want to venture into the deep desert, I don't want to be mauled by a blob. This makes it harder to blob. Harder to Zerg somebody. Eve players call it a blobbing because we're literally in a blob of ships. Almost every other game is like a Zerg. If you Zerg the point in WoW, that's what that means. I like this. I accept. And you know what? Again, it shows that they're really thinking about all sides of the game. You can see your buddies, but also, what about having green outline and blue outline for guilds and friends? That still then is, you can see what's up. So everybody wear a bullseye shirt, I like the car thing is you can blend in if you find out the guild's color. Yep, there's counterplay. Am I right? You're going to have your scout people go,
hey, looks like Team B over here. Looks like the House Harkonnen guys are wearing orange and blue today. So can everybody go into your swatches, and who doesn't have any orange and blue dyes, you can go give you some Solarius and go buy it on the market. Everybody set your stuff to orange and blue to kind of confuse them, and then we're going to go on a forward scouting mission.
Levels to it. Oh, I don't have orange and blue dye. We'll go to the market and go buy some, dude. You also cannot friendly fire your team easy, but guild outside team is full damage, which is now you have to actually pick your shots. That's sick. I really like this.
But if it's just the group, then it's much more difficult for Zergs to actually not do friendly fire. Yeah. And there is full friendly fire on guilds.
I mean, they can.
Gotta say, I like that, dude. You can't just have, this means that if you're a solo player, okay, Alex, we talked about Eve for 4 hours. We're going to talk about it again after. plenty of stuff for Eve. Go check out YouTube if you don't want to watch Dune. It's all good. Just, if you're here for Eve, go watch some Eve content. Thank you very much. We're going to do Eve after, okay? This means if you're a solo player, you actually have agency and onus. Do you understand that if you were in a 40-person guild and everybody could see each other and there was no friendly fire, if you're solo, you can do nothing. You can just avoid the deep desert because you can't do anything else, right? Nothing. Instead, now if you're a solo player, you can actually go in and do things. Now, they're still going to call you out, be like, hey, there's a solo guy right there, kill him. It's not like you're invincible, but you actually can do things when the solo sneaks into the Zerg and causes havoc. Right, think about that. Think about that. Hey,
is that you standing next to me?
Nope, that's not me.
Who's this guy?
And all of a sudden, you just take a shot to the head. It's going to be great.
Do it if they work for it, right? They can make sure everyone has the same swatches and the same armor. So there is ways to do it, but they have to
you're
work.
dressed like and infiltrate.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Quickly
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's
we didn't want to take
no
away
artificial.
Yeah,
Just said that.
Like it's been one of my. Let's say I will say this is one of those things where I have had to fight with a lot of developers on this project about this.
Sure.
There's a crashed ship down there, by the way. It's kind of cool that you could. Also
That was
go
sick. Look at that.
Loot that. But like it's like giving too much information for free to players actually limits our ability for people to have politics and intrigue.
Yeah.
Because if I can see your name over your head, I know who you are, right? But if I can't, if I don't know who that is, and you dress in my clothing and you walk into my base and you follow me around, it's like I might just think that you're my friend from the guild, when in fact you're just like, trying to infiltrate. And we want to...
That's going to happen. That's going to happen. And that's really cool.
allow that possibility because that is Dune. At its core, that is how things work. There are plans within plans, there are groups within groups.
Right. Imagine if we didn't have the overview in Eve, which, by the way, that's how Frontier is. We're going to talk more about Frontier. That's not NDA. I can talk about this. In Eve Frontier, there's no overview. There's no overview. You have to communicate. It's a lot of fun.
I remember that from early on, where your kind of law was information has to be early.
There it is.
For sure.
That was
PvP
a very
zone.
early thing.
Can I just point out that we just
Very
crossed
cool.
a server border?
Yeah.
We did.
Like, our game has server meshing tech in the deep desert. And it's been a very painful technical thing to get working.
Yes.
But we just crossed a server border. You probably might not have even noticed any sort of hitching or anything.
I didn't
because
see
it's
anything.
Very seamless. And again, shout out to our technical team who've been
Yes,
working their
yeah.
butts off
It's really
to get
cool.
this in good shape. But we just crossed a server border from one server to another, and it's basically not visible.
I didn't notice
which is great.
anything.
Yeah, what
If
we
he
call
hadn't-
like authority transfer.
If he hadn't said that, I wouldn't have noticed. That's really sick.
Transfer between servers, yeah.
What just happened?
Not
Oh,
visible,
okay.
which is great.
That was
Yeah,
cool.
What we call like authority transfer.
Authority
When you move
transfer
it.
between
Yeah.
servers, yeah. So now we're picking up a random sandcrawler and bringing it out to the spice harvesting field. So, I mean, I love that. I love that mechanic. I think it's fantastic fun in the game. Just
Right,
picking
Hack?
things
Glad
up.
you're here.
Transport ornithopter is quite slow,
Yeah, it's very slow.
so it is dangerous to go out just in the transport ornithopter.
Yes.
And you can, of course, sit in the harvester
Yes,
while being
sure. You can,
transported,
yeah,
which
yeah.
is really
So
fun too.
You can also,
Yes.
I think the transport
You can-
also has like 5 seats as well. So
Yes,
there's,
yeah.
you can bring a whole little group with you.
Or have them standing on
kidnap
top.
other
Yeah.
enemy harvesters as well, which is also
It's
super
going to be
fun
so
to
much
do.
fun.
But we
I
should
recognize your footsteps, old man. This is gonna be so good, dude. Resource gathering ops. I need protection. They're bringing stuff. You can go out by yourself. It's literally a carry-all.
talk about spice because
Yes.
that's really ties
Yeah.
the entire end game together, right? So
Yeah.
all the tier, the
Gonna
tier
be good,
6
Chad.
or the last like set of resources, right? Everything requires spice
Okay.
to craft it.
Highly addictive. Consumption of a spice melange greatly expands one awareness, even granting pre-science. Pre-science is the like ultimate ability, right? The lets you see stuff. Okay, I did play the beta, yeah. I got into the creator alpha and the creator beta. It was a lot of fun. And this is wild to me. We didn't get to do any of this. Pre-science unleashes one's full potential. So you need this to get more combat. Sick. Yeah, there was no PvP in the beta because they didn't have this content out yet. So this is everything I dreamed of when I used to play the old RTS dude pillar. Same, brother.
So
Same.
your end game gear, your end game tools,
Yep.
end game vehicles.
Everything in game requires spice for crafting, essentially. And also,
Drop it.
We mentioned the Landsrad. The Landsrad
Drop it.
has always the center square of the Landsrad requires spice to win. It's important.
The center square of that Landsrad box requires spice to win. Where's the worm, dude? Let's see it.
The sandcrawler is like, it's not the full harvesters that you've seen in the films. Those are owned by the big houses.
Yeah.
But as you can see here, this is like a little raid event. We just placed a thumper on the sand. We have a guy on a bike. He's riding around dropping thumpers.
You should also hear it actually on stream now. You hear
the thumpers are really important because sandworms roam the deep desert. They will be coming.
Yep.
And you need to be placing out thumpers to distract them away from that sandcrawler while it's harvesting spice. And you want to keep it on the spice as long as possible, just like in the book. You want to stay on the spice.
They made it. They did it. They made it just like the book. They made it just like the daggum movies. I can't wait for a full Discord voice comms when the worm comes and every single person is like, blessed be the maker and his water. Blessed be the coming and going of him. And literally everybody's watching as the crawler gets eaten by the worm. Y'all, come
As much profit as you possibly can. You can even see the trail that the sandcrawler is leaving in the spice as it sucks up spice into its little vacuum pack.
Yeah, so the sandworm stops being, it not stops, but it's less of a threat as you're going throughout Hoggy Basin into the mid-game. But then at the end game, right, there's sandworms all over the place, and it becomes a threat again, especially when you're trying to get spice from the sands.
So you saw the sandworm just took that thumper.
Right.
Hopefully our intrepid thumper places have put out more of them.
Right, they have to keep to it. Look, you see that guy? You see the guy in the sandbike? His job is, remember in the movies when they had the guy that was on the bike who was like placing stuff in the ground? Was it a bike? Am I misremembering a different video? I'm remembering like a scene from Resident Evil where he's on a bike and he's like placing a perimeter. That's kind of what it wasn't from Dune. That was from Resident Evil. Now that I'm thinking about it. That's still sick. This guy on the sandbike is, and he's placing thumpers. That's his job.
Intrepid thumper places have put out.
So does the worm always prefer the thumper over the crawler? Always? This is a question.
More of them?
That was a question.
They're totally well organized. They have like several people placing out thumpers.
Yeah.
They have like the scouts here in the air that we see as well, which is really cool to see.
Looking for worms.
Plus our transport to be ready for any kind of danger that might occur.
And so as soon as the sandcrawler
Rain of Fire had an aerial tracking system. Okay, gotcha. I was gonna say, what movie am I thinking of? Yeah, you got it, chat.
When the sandcrawler knows that they're the target of the sandworm, they need to radio in and be like, get me off.
But thank you for, God, they really thought of everything. I ask a question, they answer it immediately. The sandcrawler knows if it's the target of the sandworm. You know.
FC, come in. We are another target of the sandworm. Please pick us up. Carry all. Call and carry all.
The sand, so that the transport ornithopter will pick them up. But at the moment, I think we're using the thumpers effectively as a team. And this is a part of it, right? Like, this is why the deep desert is very Dune. I don't think you have this experience in any other game.
I've never seen this before.
And the idea was to create this. So if you are here with your guild, there's something to do and it's fun and it's interesting, but then other players.
Yeah, Shyalicious. Imagine this. Thumper management, spice management, fuel management. And now imagine there's another guild that flew in low with their ornithopters right under the radar and is parked, and they've gotten out and they got RPGs ready. What are you going to do if rockets start flying? Y'all, we're going to have a good time.
Might show up as well. And that's where it becomes...
I thought I knew what this was going to be. I thought I knew that I bought the game and I'm like, look, I'm going to have a good time. It's going to be an enjoyable year or two. We'll see. I had no idea. They didn't cook. They got Michelin stars with this, y'all. Listen, we're going to play this and EVE Online at launch. We're going to have dedicated Dune streams and dedicated EVE streams. I'm literally hiring more editors to prepare for this. I had 3 interviews. 3 interviews, yesterday. I have another one next week. We're going to have a great time. And we're going to be live way more than we're live now.
Another step, right?
So you're saying it's not just reskin Conan Exiles? Is that what you're saying, Joel?
We could talk about what the word reskin means. We could talk about, like, that some of the best games in the world are reskins of other games.
So you see here, though, that there is a lot sandworms that are popping up here.
Multiple worms.
Which is both fantasy but also terrifying.
There is a limit to how much they will eat thumpers.
This is an answer to a question. I want to know if the ornithopter attracts the sandworm into air, because you can see this red bar here. That's the sandworm, but I don't know if that means, hey, there's a worm right there, or if it means I'm making noise yet. I'm not sure. I agree, Stan. I agree. And this is just one planet. Dune Awakening said, the devs have said they want to expand to other planets. Can you imagine going to Kaladin? To Ix? Can you imagine?
Yes.
They do eventually get annoyed.
Eventually,
There's
they
like,
have enough.
I'm not that dumb,
Worm
right?
sign, worm sign, right?
They'll eat
I see-
thumbers for a
Prime.
while.
I see what you're doing.
Imagine going to Gady Prime. Imagine going to the daggum inverted sun planet.
Here,
They have a diverse palette.
Yes. But yeah, this is like.
You also see nicely the scouts around.
I'm never gonna
and,
get tired of
also
that.
potentially looking
Seeing the
out for
worm.
sandstorms
know?
Yeah,
coming in. Of
sandstorms,
course,
yes.
Yeah.
they're kind of
Worm sign.
devastating in this particular. Yeah, worm signs. Enemies coming in as well.
Enemies coming in.
potentially.
Yeah. So yeah, it's this is
I have a job posting out Pillar. We posted it to my Discord in my brand announcements. If one of your buddies does video editing, you can of course point them there. That's over in our Discord. Thank you.
kind of the experience of like harvesting spice. in
Always
the
looking for more
desert
editors.
from a large spice blow, and there are smaller spice blows like that you can come to
Yeah.
with a smaller.
In Dune Awakening, ornithopters, while not explicitly designed to attract sandworms, like thumbers, can be still potentially be a threat due to their movement and vibrations. Sure, so the lower you get to the ground, it'll attract stuff. I was hoping that was the case, honestly. Was hoping. Imagine you're like, I'm going to attract this. I'm out of thumpers. We want the spice. You know, like.
Guys, I'm out of thumpers. And the spice, we need just a little bit more spice to win the Landsrad. I'm going to hover my ornithopter over the sand. Remember me as I was.
I can't wait to see a worm come up and just eat an ornithopter. I can't wait.
Smaller guild.
Right, feed it a dragonfly, dude.
In Haga Basin, of course.
Yes.
Just very
There's
small.
just a couple ones in Haga. Yeah, it's very limited because we wanted spice to be a rare resource that you need to go out here into the deep desert to
And
get.
I'm talking about like concentration of people. Like the spice flow, you can see from really far away,
Yeah.
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
20 plus kilometers
Yes.
away. So you do need to bring some friends to be looking out for other people coming in.
Yep.
There's another thumper down there. So I
Thumper?
know we've seen some comments from people that are like, well, you have to go into the deep desert to get like the highest type of gear and such. What
That
do we?
is not true. We have the exchange. We just showed that before, right? So you can be somebody that is making something that a person on the exchange would want, right? That goes into the deep
He's
desert
in the
to get
spice cloud.
spice, or to get like some schematics. They
Oh,
can-
it's actually a thing that is hard to see. So you see the thing down here. So you actually have to like fly in, and now you have to deal with that too. That's another thing you got to deal with. That's freaking awesome. Literal gas hopping. I like what they're saying that look, the big guilds are going to be able to get these best items in the deep desert, and they can put them on the market, on the exchange, right? And then sell them for Solaris. Maybe you're a PvE player that just doesn't want to do this ever, but you still want some of the best gear. So you buy it from them. You can still make Solaris. You can still make money. The server feels alive in that way. Man.
can go to
great.
Arkin or Hargo Village, post that,
Great.
and then
Pick
you
'em up.
can trade it on the exchange.
Pick them up.
Or you can meet up in person and trade.
Yep. Pick them up.
With the
Picking up the
PvP.
crawler.
I think there
oh.
might have been some. We can't hear it though, but there might have been some rumblings and some indication that.
Yeah. We
Glitch in the spice cloud there.
Worm sign,
Big
and they need to
threads.
move. The
Yeah.
is
yeah, we
potentially
do have a
coming.
known bug in the game where the spice color disappears from the sand.
Sure. Okay.
Still there. Yeah.
But
Okay,
yeah,
so-
so
The hauler can pick up a tank. That's what. But yeah, the hauler can pick up the spice harvester. I can pick up the buggy. That's what they were saying. Is that once again, it's part of that staircase of power increasing, where you start with a sand bike, then you can get a buggy, then you can get a scout ornithopter, then you can get like whatever the heck, and then you can pick up the buggy and take it places you couldn't have gotten before.
it's happening.
Well,
oh,
There he is.
That's why they.
and
Yeah,
there's the
we can
grandfather
actually
one.
hear that. Yeah,
that's shy.
It's great seeing the little sandworm.
Yeah, the
right by
little tiny
big
one on the side. You can see the scale.
little baby like getting in.
Are you telling me the worms that I've been running from are the babies? Are you telling me? Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to play this game at launch. We're going to have multiple guilds. We're going to be enjoying the Landsrad. We're going to play EVE Online as well. We're going to do all of it. Join us. I can't believe it.
There he is.
That's why they.
and
Yeah,
there's the
we can
grandfather
actually
one.
hear
Blessed
that.
be the
Yeah,
maker.
That's shy.
Bless the
Great
coming
seeing
and
the
going
little
of him.
sandworm.
Yeah, the
Right
little
by
tiny
His
one on
coming
the side.
cleanse the
You can see
world.
scale.
little baby like getting into the action there.
This is the ringmouth one.
That's the ringmouth, yeah.
What?
And that's gonna swallow everything
That
that's
one's
in the
big,
middle.
yeah.
They're like
Right. Crawlers, ornithopters, players, you're PvPing tough. Tough. Ibn Girtaiba. What the heck? There's always a bigger fish. I'm not revealing the guild name yet.
just
You'll see.
everything there is lost.
It
and
takes
it's
the lot. But these guys managed to succeed, and they can take their haul out of the deep desert today with them.
It releases June 10th, but we're gonna play early on the 5th. Next Thursday. We got 12-hour streams planned, y'all. I got the okay from the wife. Thursday and Friday, 12-hour streams. Saturday, we're gonna do a little bit of a shorter stream just because I have stuff to do that day. Head start June 5.
very well prepared.
Yeah.
They were well prepared.
Very well prepared. So as our crew here is now going back to, actually maybe we can explore a little bit because we do actually have Imperial testing stations here as well.
Please.
And I think we're actually somewhat close to one,
Cerebellum.
if I remember correctly. So we can maybe show that from above as well. Again, to just
I gotta rewind. Okay?
Coming in.
Yep.
comments from people that are like, well, you
So right go.
Bumpers.
location that
Got worm
a
sign,
big
and then where the spice color disappears from it's happened.
It's still there. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's happening.
Well,
Oh,
There he is.
that's why they,
and
yeah,
there's the
we can
grandfather
actually
one.
hear that, yeah.
that's shy.
It's great seeing the little sandworm.
Yeah, the
right
little
by
tiny one on the
wall.
side. You can see the scale.
Little baby, like, getting into the action there.
This is the ringmouth one.
That's the ringmouth, yeah.
And that's gonna swallow everything
That
that's
one's
in the
big,
middle.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Richard will have more, don't you worry. I'm telling y'all. Look. I'm not paid by these guys. I'm in the FunCom creator program. I'm a hashtag FunCom creator. And they're giving me copies to give to you. I bought the game myself. I'm going to be direct with y'all. I bought the game myself. The code that they're giving me, I'm using it to give to you. They're giving me a deluxe edition code, and I'm going to give it away. I'm also buying 2 of the copies of the game myself to give away to all of you. I'm excited. The game looks sick. The melee combat needs improving, but can we forgive that? I think so. I think we're good. You know, we're going to have a great time for a long time.
And they can take their haul out of the deep desert today with them.
Very well prepared.
Yeah.
They were well prepared.
Very well prepared. So as our crew here is
Now you gotta get back.
going back to, actually maybe we can get close.
Yeah, let's fast forward a little bit.
if I remember.
Let's fast forward a bit.
VE encounters happen in missions.
Yeah. Oh,
they're
yeah.
actually tuned
Apologies.
for 4 players. Yeah. So it's the main PvE challenge would be out here where you're going to get those unique schematics that we were talking about earlier.
Okay, so they're talking about the testing station. It's tuned for 4 players. Got it.
But you
Got
need to scout, you need to find them, and then you need to perhaps fight over them.
And work as a team. I think these are
Right, so the deep desert spawns. You have your scouts that are in fast-moving ornithopters that scan the stuff down. They say, hey, we found an Imperial testing station. We found one. Now you got to deploy your combat team because they're mini dungeons. And at the end of these, there will be special epic items that are not just bigger stat sticks. This is one of my favorite things about the epics that I found in the beta and in the alpha. You had a dagger that when you meleeed somebody, it would fill up your blood sacks. Not when you killed them. As you're meleeing them, your blood sacks would start filling up. I had a sword that if you parried somebody, you got some stamina back. That freaking sword. I had the dagger too. Right. I had boots that reduced the worm sound you would make by 90%. Maybe it was 75. It was a lot. So all of a sudden, the flower sand I could never gather. Now I can gather a bunch. I got those, dude. They were real good. Real good. I had a headpiece that reduced my sunstroke charge by like 50%. So you could stay out in the sun longer. I had a pistol that was automatic pistol, did more damage than 2 tiers up rifle, and I got it in Haga Basin South. These testing stations were dropping all the big epics. So you're in the deep desert, you find one, you call your, FC.
CFC, I found the Imperial testing station. It's in this zone. Dispatch the squad.
And then the Bad Batch rolls up and starts taking them out. But now there's also people coming in, other guilds, to fight over it. Y'all, if you're just joining us, name's Loru, and I bring the energy to the categories, if you can't tell. Okay, and our main game is EVE Online. Our second main game is going to be Dune Awakening. We're going to do both. I make in-game events in EVE Online, some of the biggest you've seen, and you think we're going to just do that in EVE? We're going to do it here too.
And towards Norman for people.
Yeah.
We actually showed one in our combat stream.
Yeah, the second part.
Yes, exactly. They're like
Excuse me.
kind of wave-based, kind of very different
The undocked that came in yet? No, we bought a Vehement too, though.
approach than the Imperial testing stations that we have in Tiger Basin.
Yeah.
And
They're different every week.
It's the entrance
Yes.
to
Remember, these testing stations respawn like every 45 minutes. Constant people trying to run these chests, run these chests, run these chests.
the station. And you know, like as the game continues, as we go through live and we continue to update and expand, there'll be more
Yes, sir.
things that show up on the map, for example, Fremen sieges and things like that, that people would expect to explore.
Fremen sieges. So they're literally going to add more types of points of interest to the map as well, not just adding new zones and new areas to explore. Golly.
So things will be
Exactly.
uncovered. And as I mentioned, like the layouts for the deep desert, they're handcrafted. We have a cool system where we like build the layouts by hand and generate the spaces between them with the sand. So it's kind of like we
By hand? Sick. D-Ron, thanks for the biddies. By hand, dude. They got a game master up there going, you know, that's important. This is not nothing. They're looking at the data. They're looking at the big guilds, and they're looking at what resources are over or under plentiful. So then since they handcraft stuff, maybe this week we put a lot of testing stations close to rocks because we want people to have more access to gear. You know, we haven't seen a lot of vehicles used in the recent deep deserts comparatively to what we'd like to see. Put more downed starships close to the rocks so they can make more bases and craft more vehicles. No two deep deserts are going to be the same. Incredible. So if you're just joining us, how the game works is there's a base game that is not going to change. There is going to be, that game is that game. Think of this as the leveling zones. Then there's the deep desert, which will change and reset. The literal architecture of the place every week changes. Where stuff is, where you can build your base, etc. It wipes every week. And that's the best end game zones.
fill in the gaps with the sand.
Probably are,
But, like,
Orling, probably
we are building new layouts for this all the time.
Great.
Right? And then over time, we'll incorporate more and more elements.
Great.
So there'll be always something to do. That's the pillar of the game, infinite exploration,
Yes.
right? And that's one of the goals, is to create a
telling
space that's always explorable. And something else I'd like to say that I think is like important is we will add, like we have the DLCs and things coming.
Right, think about that. That's a good point, Charlie. It's just another MMOs, they have raid resets. Like every 2 weeks, the dragon respawns. But that doesn't really make any sense, does it? You know? Lore-wise, Onyxia is still alive. You don't actually kill her. It's actually, oh my god, did they solve it? My biggest problem with MMOs is the lack of permanence. Is the, you know what, I kill a raid boss, but it's there next week. And I kill it again. I got tired of killing Ragnaros over and over again, y'all. In this game, we get into the deep desert, we get the spice, we get the stuff done, and then we get bigger loot, we get bigger stuff, and then next week we have to do it again, but it makes sense in universe why that happened, because the Coriolis storm wipes the thing. Really awesome. I like this. I like this a lot. So, I do not think so, Mount. I think you're just wrong, straight up, flat out. So, I'm tired, right, I'm tired of killing Zaitan with the 40 time. You know, I was like, right, that rock you're mining this week isn't there next week. That's true, Charlicious. Yes. I took 2 weeks off work. Let's go. Paul, see you in there, buddy. Let's get it done.
We'll be adding things in the DLCs.
Let's talk about the DLCs in just a sec. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to keep watching this video, but if you want to join us on launch, we're seeing a lot of people talking about the launch. Okay, we are streaming this game at launch. You can RSVP in 2 ways. We have our Dune Awakening launch streams here. You can press notify me here, okay? To be able to make sure we're giving away copies of the game every single day, okay? You like the art that I did, y'all? You like the art I did? I love how this looks. Ibn Gedaima. You know, we got it looking good. Press notify me right here to be able to know when the stream is up and be able to get a notification when that goes. We also have our Discord, ladies and gentlemen. The video isn't done. We're going to keep reacting. We also have our Discord. Come down here. You can press interested on the events section. See where the kind of blinking plus events. Come down here to interested, y'all. This is where we do all of our events are like this. You can sign up for these various things. That's where you can stay up to date with how the game is. Yeah, I'm not going to lie, chat. I really cooked with these thumbnails. They look sick for launch week. I'm very happy with this. So, all right, let's keep watching. This video is going to be a long video. Let's just keep it going. So let's do it. So,
But the deep desert.
where's your Steam link to buy the game? I have an affiliate code technically, but it's like an old, I'll be honest with you, I don't know if this affiliate code still works. So I'll link it to you, but I don't know if it still works. What I mean by that is like they give me that affiliate code through like a separate system, and I don't know if it's like a thing anymore still. You can still use it to buy the game, and quite frankly, I'd rather just not get the cut if it doesn't work. There's the affiliate code they gave me. If you click it, it still loads. So feel free to use that if you want. That links you to the Steam page. I think !DA Loru is that. Yeah, that should still link it. I don't really care if it works or not, and if I get a cut, I want to see it in the game. So there it is. Enjoy it.
It will always remain something that we consider to be at the zenith of the power curve in the game. So we'll keep adding to the deep desert. So let's say that we have tier 5 items in the game and we go to tier 7. Then the deep desert will start to have tier 7 equipment and items and things in it.
Tiered armor sets, set bonuses. Oh, chat. Not the World of Warcraft itch. Oh no, I successfully escaped it. And now it's back. Oh no, dude.
As well. We'll always try to keep it on par with anything else we add in terms of power. Because the deep desert really is that continually explorable space.
The central point that keeps all of the things
Yeah,
together.
we'll continue to add like stuff, and there will be like in DLCs there'll be places where people can get access to gear that is currently in the deep desert.
I did HMS. I did.
When we do that, we'll also increase the deep desert and make sure that there's
That's
more
cool.
things.
I like that.
So that's kind of the long-term goal.
That is our first look at the Landsrad and at the deep desert and at the grandfather worm and at how we're going to play stuff. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want all the best Dune Awakening news and guides, that's right here. And if you want to subscribe for the best Dune Awakening videos, that's right here. We'll see you in the next video. Don't miss this. We'll see you June 5th.